All right, so the first thing that stood out to me is that this team is going to try and push the pace. Even on made baskets, you'd better get back on D because that ball is coming down quick. This is going to be a high octane, 3-point powered offense. Tatum, Brown, and Porzingis are all going to be taking 15 to 20 shots a night, and Joe Mazzulla is probably going to want half of those looks to be from deep. Last year, the Celtics were bottom third in terms of pace, but I really think that's going to change this year as they now have three superstars to make happy, and it would definitely be a good idea to have each of them get some of their looks off as quick hitters in transition. Plus, their transition attacks should be pretty good. Those three are all going to shoot it at or around 40% from behind the arc, and Al can still get up and down pretty well, even at his age. As long as Boston's shooters stay spaced on the outside, the Celtics should get a lot of easy layups and kickouts in transition this year because if Porzingis is one of the guys who are running the break, someone has to keep him from getting the lob. Even in the half court, we can see that his vertical threat means that someone has to be between him and the rim at all times. And that is going to suck the defense in and lead to open shots and long closeouts. In addition to being a vertical lob threat, the Celtics are creating space for Porzingis by having him set a lot of screens for different players. And he's looked really good playing both out of the roll and the pop so far. But my main point is that all that screening that KP does is going to lend itself pretty nicely to other key aspects of the Celtics' offensive attack this year. As we all know, the Celtics are super ISO heavy, and they try and give their skill guys a lot of room to make things happen. But with this new dynamic stretch option they've got with KP playing out of the screen, it's going to free up a lot more space for Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum to come off of those screens because you can't leave Porzingis open on the three-point line. Defenses won't be able to play drop unless they bring someone over from the backside to help on the pop action, because even if that big defender has to step out and stop the ball for a second, all Kristaps needs is 4 to 5 feet of space to get his shot off or put it on the deck and go around you. And the good news for Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum is that since that big man is going to be very concerned about getting back to Porzingis, it's going to force defenders to fight through traffic much more often, rather than switching on the screens as was the case in the past with Al Horford and Rob Williams. Here we see Gordon Hayward switch on to Drew Holiday as Jason Tatum sets a screen on Terry Rozier, but he's going to fight through this second screen from KP because he doesn't want Mark Williams to have to step out and stop Drew Holiday from attacking the rim, because that would leave him too far away from Kristaps on a pick-and-pop situation. But KP does just enough to disrupt Gordon from having a clear path to cut Drew off, and our shooters stay spaced on the opposite side, so Drew has a lot of space to work with and get to the rim. And it's for those same reasons that I think Brown and Tatum are going to be much more cognizant of what is happening in the painted area on pick and rolls this season. The same way that Jamal Murray is always aware of where Jokic is, I think the Celtics are going to take a page out of Denver's playbook and use KP both as a hub and as a facilitator this season. And I want to be clear, I'm not saying that Porzingis is as skilled of a passer as Jokic. KP hasn't even recorded more than 7 assists in a single game, whereas Jokic has literally averaged that for the last 5 years. But the same way we see Nikola's assist numbers increase when he's surrounded with talent, I think we're going to see the same trend from Boston's big men in the upcoming seasons, because Joe Mazzulla and that Celtic offense, I think, are going to sort of bend around Porzingis the same way that Nikola can roll through the lane and be effective just by being in good position and getting the ball out quickly. I think we're going to see some shades of that in Porzingis this season as well. And that may be an outlandish take to some of you, but the reason I say that is because Kristaps has never played alongside two guys with the skill set and talent level that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum had. The closest he came was in Dallas when he played alongside Luka Doncic and the GOAT, JJ Redick. Just being on the same court as Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum is going to take KP's game to new heights this season. And as a fan, I'm super excited for him to get more opportunities to play in space this season because he's already shown some flashes of what he can do off the dribble. On this play, it looks like a double ball screen for Jason Tatum on the top of the wing, but no one tags Porzingis on the roll. All three Philly defenders are so concerned with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown as threats from behind the arc that no one tags Porzingis, and he's left to catch this ball in the short corner with a ton of space. And if those three can stay healthy, he's going to have a lot of those similar opportunities all season long. As we saw in Boston's most recent game versus New York, there were a ton of examples where the Celtics' offensive firepower forced the Knicks to leave KP wide open with a ton of space to work with. Just check it out. So yeah, that Celtic offense is going to be pretty ridiculous. But now let's change gears and talk about some of my biggest concerns for the Celtics. And we're going to start with their depth because this team probably has the heaviest top six in the league. Tatum, Brown, Porzingis, Holiday, White, and Horford. They're your money-making guys, but you're going to need some production off the bench too. Peyton Pritchard is a guy who's looked really good in the preseason, and he'll probably have a spot in that rotation this year. But after that, and this is no disrespect to any of the guys who are living out their dream and have worked tremendously hard to make it to the league, but you're talking about guys like Sam Hauser, Svi Mikulik, and Luke Cornett. My biggest concern is that none of those guys can play defense or rebound. Pritchard is 6'1", Svi is 6'7", and Hauser is 6'8". Cornette is the only guy who will potentially get minutes and have an impact on the defensive rebounding end, but I wouldn't bet on it. They've got another 7-footer signed to a 2-way contract, Namish Keita, but no one really knows how that story is going to go, and it's reasonable to assume that this team is going to struggle on the inside. The 76ers weren't even playing with Harden or Embiid, but I've been watching guys like Tobias Harris and Paul Reed get easy looks around the rim because the two Celtic big men can't defend the perimeter. Kristaps and Horford are going to have to play drop coverage on guards out of the pick and roll, and that means that a smaller defender, whether it's White, Holiday, Brown, or Tatum, is going to have to leave their man to tag the big guy. And Allen KB just have not shown the ability to recover and affect the shot at the rim after making a play in the drop. And don't even get me started on their rebounding because it's going to take an all-out effort from each of those top 6 guys just to compete on the glass during the season. With 24 seasons and 6 All-Star game appearances between them, you may be surprised to find out that KP and Al have only combined to average more than 10 rebounds in one NBA season. Even if one guy from your top 6 go down, which over the course of an 82-game season is bound to happen, suddenly Boston's in a spot where they're having to lean on a guy who's making less than $5 million a year. If you watch my 2024 playoff prediction video, you'll know that I picked Boston to win it all this season, but that was before they made the trade for Drew Holiday. They've pretty much depleted their bench and went with a top-heavy approach, so there are definitely some unanswered questions I have about their upcoming season, but they remain one of my favorites to, win it all next season.